and welcome to the ROCKATX online worship experience. You're getting ready to experience God on another level. Whatever you're seeking from God for your life is available for you as you praise, hear the word, and transform your situation. While you're worshiping with us, feel free to interact with our online ministers in the chat and share this broadcast with your friends and family so they can join you online. Also, make sure you subscribe and follow the ROCKATX on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to stay connected to all the Rock is doing. Now, shake off the worries of the week and get ready to give God some praise. Service will begin soon.
Bring in Luke 17 and 22, where he's speaking an eschatological language. He's saying, I'm here right now. The disciples are like, Lord, what's going to happen? They didn't know what was happening. They was like, we know this is about to be at the end. We know that something is brewing. And so they asked Jesus, when the days come, what's going to happen? And Jesus says, people going to be looking. People going to be doing. He brings up Noah. He says they're going to be marrying, eating, playing, running, jumping, playing, running, jumping, getting married, having babies, and looking back on all the stuff they may miss out on. Because remember, it says here that when Noah closed the door, that was it. Nobody else. And his family couldn't say, I left my dog, I left my cat, I need to go back, I need to go and figure out, my cousin didn't get on the boat, my friends didn't get on the boat. God said, get your family and go. They had to keep their head forward. Because if they hadn't kept their head forward, then we wouldn't be here. Noah had to keep that moving, keep his head straight, because he needed to know that what God had in his future was better than what he was leaving in the past. Then Jesus again brings up, and remember, these are intertextual conversations, that he's going back to the Old Testament to explain what's happening in the New Testament, which I love. He brings up Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, if you remember, Sodom and Gomorrah was a city that was really going through something. They didn't know who they were. They didn't know what they were. God sent the angels to Lot's house, and the people in Sodom wanted to have sex with the angels. And Lot said, please, please, please don't do this to these men. He said, don't do this to these men. He said, take my daughters instead. And they said no. And if you read the story, they bust into the house of Lot so that they can get these angels. And the angel of the Lord said, y'all got to go. And also in the story, Lot's daughters, or their betrothed, they had betrothed. There were men that were going to marry them. They said, we ain't going. We like what's going on here. We're staying. So Lot even was like, I don't know, angels. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go. So the angels had to take Lot by the hand and yank him out of his house to save him and his family. And he only had two caveats to them being saved. He says, your life is over. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley to escape to the hills. lest you be swept away. And this is the only thing we see in that specifically speaks about what will happen if you look back. He specifically tells them, don't look back. Keep your head straight. It's going to be so much going on that's in your future. You're going to hear screaming. You're going to be hollering. You're going to hear people dying. You're going to hear fire, stuff crackling. You know, when there's a fire, you just hear stuff falling and crackling and moving. And you just want to, just out of human nature, you want to see what's going on.
Come on now. Come on.
Because I'm nosy. I want to see what's happening. He's destroying a whole city. And you trying to tell me that my human nature can't be utilized? I can't look back and see what's going on? But he said, don't look back. He said, keep your head straight. He then says, the same thing is going to happen to us. He's talking about us. He said that when I come back, some of y'all, because I'm going to be one of the ones taking up, I'm going to be one of them people doing the grain. I'll be doing the grain, and then I don't know who's going to be left, but I'm going to be taken up. But what he tells me is when I'm being taken up, don't say, dang, I wish that lady standing next to me was coming. Dang, I forgot to turn the stove off. I just bought some new furniture. God dang it. How about this? I've been in offense. Somebody made me mad. I didn't get it right with God. Because I was so busy worried about the things of this world. And instead of letting God put it in my hand, I keep looking back like, Lord, where, what, how? So we have in an an eschatological conversation that Jesus is having with his disciples. And he says, now mind you, there are over 300 women in the Bible. And y'all know I love to read and talk about women in the Bible. There's over 300 women in the Bible. 93 have been picked out or has had something to say, or God has said, I need you to know about this woman outside of she's the wife of, the mother of. So over 300 women. 93 had some sort of significance that God plucked them out and said we needed to know about them. But there's only 2 that he said to remember. Mary Magdalene, he said, she will be remembered. She will be remembered. Y'all gonna talk about her in the future. That was a positive. That was a positive. But the negative one that he said, in the New Testament, when they only talked about Jesus' surrounding women, he goes all the way back to the Old Testament and says, remember Lot's wife. He said, I'm going to let y'all turn back for a minute. I'm going to let y'all look back into the past for a minute, because this is important. I need you to remember Lot's wife. When I'm on my way back, I need you to remember Lot's wife. So, if we're keeping our heads straight, we're remembering Lot's wife. Why? Why, Jesus, do you tell us to remember Lot's wife when we waiting on you to come? You trying to tell us what you gonna do, and you say remember Lot's wife. So if you'll go to my next slide. So I love this part. What is salt? What did the Old Testament use salt for? First of all, Salt is on the periodical table. It comes from the earth. It is a seasoning. It is used for, I don't know if you guys know, but you can put salt, even though it says don't put salt on the wound, it's going to hurt. It does, because salt will heal a wound. It'll take up all that infection. It'll pull it out. It'll pull out infection. It is a healing property, has a healing property in it. And so salt of the earth is truly salt that comes from the earth. Even though you can make it in a lab, but it's not as potent as if you get it from the earth. Because usually what God makes is always the best. It's always the best. So then there's some places in the Bible, in the Old Testament, where salt is used. And I just thought it was so interesting. So in Job 6:6, Job says, and I said Job must have been Hispanic or brown, because he said, "Is tasteless food eaten without salt?" Y'all know we want some seasoning in our food. We want some seasoning in our food. We ain't gonna eat no bland food, not never. Not never. That's good. Is there any taste in the white of an egg? There is none. There is none. That's why and even when we put Lowry's or hot sauce, guess what the basis of those are? Salt. The basis of those are salt. And then in Ezekiel, now Ezekiel had a tumultuous life coming into his life. I'm not going to go into Ezekiel's life. But what I wanted to do is let you know, it says here that for your nativity, on the day you were born, your navel cord was not cut, nor were you washed in water or washed in water to cleanse you. You were not rubbed with salt, nor wrapped in swaddling clothes. So back in the day, it used to be when babies were born. Remember I told you salt is also an irritant. If you rub salt together, you can use salt to get stuff out, because once you rub it together, it has an irritant in it that sometimes you can use it to get stuff out your clothes. But during this time, they used it to clean the babies. They would use salt to clean the babies. And then even the umbilical cord, they would use the salt and separate the umbilical cord from the mom so that the baby would have its own life, to be separated from the life of the mom. So they would rub the umbilical cord together until it's separated by using that friction that salt has. And then, and in Leviticus 2:13, and every offering of your grain offering, you shall season it with salt. You shall not allow the salt of the covenant of your God be lacking from your grain offering. With all of your offerings, you shall offer salt. So even God said, I want some seasoning. God said, don't be sending me no bland stuff. He said, I want some seasoning. And I thought that was funny. I was like, oh my goodness. God said, give me some seasoning. Don't be sending me nothing up here that tastes bland. And so salt was very, very important. And the biggest thing about salt, if you go to my next slide, I think it's the next slide. Yes. Okay, this is it. This is it. This is the one. So go to my next one. So even when we're talking about, go to Lot's wife. When we're talking about Lot's wife and keeping your head straight, I told you all of the salt, things of the salt, things that we use the salt for. But one of the biggest things is, and this is still there today. This is absolutely in the spot that Lot's wife was calcified. Now, calcified salt, it still has a flavor, but it don't go nowhere. It's stuck. So Lot's wife turned back and became stuck in her seasoning, in her flavoring, in her offerings to God. So that means that she was not able to look past her past, look past what happened back yonder. She was too worried about what had happened that she couldn't get the future in front of her. And in her future was God's promise, the provision. He said, if you just believe in me and keep your head straight, I have your purpose, your promise, and your provision right in front of you. Right in front of you. But Lot's wife said, I don't know if she had just finished getting her kitchen redone. I don't know if she had just bought a new wardrobe. But whatever it was, she decided that her flavor was going to stop because Sodom was being destroyed. Why do you keep saying her flavor is going to stop, Elder Greer? Why do you say her flavor is going to stop? Because God told us Jesus told us to remember we are the salt of the earth. Our actions and attitudes can cleanse, can irritate, can season, and that's our job. That's our job. He said, you're the salt of the earth. We're supposed to go out. We're supposed to be salt shakers. We're not supposed to be stagnant and stuck because we got to look back. Because, yes, I'm not minimizing that there's grief, that stuff happened to people. Look. Stuff happens. But God said, let this stuff happen. He don't say, the Holy Spirit don't take it from your remembrance. It doesn't. But he say, I got stuff for you this way. And the stuff that was this way was to push you towards the stuff that way. So you got to keep your head straight. And when you don't become the salt of the earth, if you've ever had a salt shaker, and a lot of us women know this, if you ever have a salt shaker, you don't use the salt. And you go to use it and you tip it over, it has crystallized. It has calcified. And you don't, that's right, Felicia, you ain't got to do nothing. You don't have to do nothing. And it will say, you know what, I'm done being salt for you. I'm done. You forgot about me. You haven't used me. You haven't seasoned anything. You didn't keep your head straight. So you're going to be calcified and stuck. Calcified and stuck. You can't move. You can't sprinkle. You can't do anything because you're stuck in the past instead of looking toward what God said he has for you in the future.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you're in need of prayer or someone to talk to, our online ministers are available for you right now in the chat. And we invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sunday at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible and you can get your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you and ask that you subscribe to The Rock ATX on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. Also, you can connect with us through our website at TheROCKATX.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.